Activate party mode.
A-firm, party mode engaged.
Hello and welcome to Party Mode, the F1 podcast with no limits. I'm Jethro Bovingdon and I'm joined by my good friends Matthew Collins and Charlie Curtis. Well, gentlemen, there's a saying that goes, it's the hope that kills you. And we had so much hope coming into this race. One of the iconic tracks, Yuki in the Red Bull, maybe Ferrari and Mercedes taking the fight to McLaren, and of course Max doing what Max does. But in the end, the race itself turned out to be one of the dullest things ever witnessed by humanity. Even so, we are positive people. There's quite a lot to discuss, from the rookies who shone, Max's awesomeness, and Lewis beginning to sow the seeds of doubt at Ferrari. So, boys, how did you stay awake?
Well, it was actually I was in Palm Springs this weekend, and so I didn't watch it live, but I was driving home, sitting in already boring, miserable, terrible traffic, watching a pretty boring race on my iPad. So, yeah, I stayed awake because I didn't want to crash my car. But had I been home, I think it might have been a little different.
What about you, Matt?
I watched it in the morning. I was like, I can't stay up for this race. This is going to be insane. So I woke up and basically I was like feeding my daughter a bottle and watching, which kind of was ideal because I could just glance up every 2 minutes and it was the exact same scenario as the last time I looked.
It's weird. I don't think it was a boring weekend as a whole because there was so much good stuff going on, but it was a bit Monaco-like, that everything good happened in practice because there was so much excitement about how Yuki would do, etc., etc. And then qualifying was really, really cool because it sprung so many surprises. So the race, was not great, and we can get into the reasons why. But I guess we should start with. Should we start with Yuki's little journey? Because it started so well on Friday and even into the early parts of Saturday, but then it all sort of went wrong.
I think everyone was hopeful for him. I mean, the crowd was insane. You could tell that there was so much hype around it, and everyone was excited for him to see what he could do, especially given the fact that Lawson was just removed and there's so much talk around that car being hard to drive. And Yuki seems like maybe the guy that could wrangle it. And it was looking good for the first part of the weekend, even into Q1. I think he was 0.01 off of Max or something in that first qualifying session. We're like, all right, this might be the guy. And it just kind of stopped there.
Helmut Marko said he did a great job. Like, Helmut Marko said he did the best that he could. He was happy with his results, which is like kind of crazy to see Helmut Marko giving positive feedback. He generally is a vicious man. So I guess that's a good sign.
I wonder if he really thought that, or what can he do now? He's put in now 3 different drivers. Saying that Yuki underperformed is kind of a little ding on Marco's record at this point. Like, how many guys can he cycle through before you get that reputation of like, you don't know how to pick drivers anymore?
Yeah, I think the positive for me when I watched, because I love the practice sessions, because you actually get a feel for what people are doing and they're pushing the limits and they're flying off the track and everything. But Yuki was on it. Like, he had the car lit up, he was sliding it, he was bullying it. And although that might not be the quickest way when you get to the fine margins of getting a perfect lap, he wasn't scared of it. And I think everyone, certainly Liam, looked terrified of the car towards the end, and he was just driving it slow because he couldn't go further because he felt like it was going to spit him off the track, whereas Yuki was on top of it. And I had good feelings. I was like, oh, well, this is cool. He's not going to beat Max, but he'll be in the top 10. Everything's going to be good. And then it seems the car is fickle. You know, it has this window, and if you drop out of it, which is really hard for us as normal people to understand, how you go from being right on top of it literally in one session, and the next session you drop off. But that seems to be the problem. It's just keeping it in that little narrow window. But I think there were positive signs that Yuki can actually get into the window. Now he's just got to learn to stay there for each session, basically.
Yeah, I don't think it was a disaster. First race that he's in that car, he didn't do great. He didn't overperform, but I think it was, like you said, there were moments where he looked like he had that under control, and I think that's huge going forward. It'll just get better.
Yeah. Even in qualifying, like, he still finished at least 6 spots above the way Lawson has been able to get that car. So it's like his very first weekend, which is really impressive.
Yeah, he's getting there. I guess we have to acknowledge the ghost of Dax is here now, but we have to acknowledge Max's awesomeness, because
it was incredible.
I think when he's had a really effectively dominant car, it's hard to contextualize what he's doing. You just look at him and think, well, he's got the best car and he's obviously a top driver. It's easy for him. But now that he's in a car that is maybe the 4th fastest, to extract what he can extract is next level. And maybe everyone's right and Dax is right, annoyingly, that we're seeing someone effectively redefine what being a top Formula One driver is. This is him. Every era there's someone who comes along and ups the level to unprecedented levels, and I think Max is probably that guy now. We can get there and agree.
Yeah, and the parity in the teams and the cars this year makes it so much easier to root for him. Like, he hasn't dominated thus far. Even in practice, it looked like McLaren, again, were going to easily walk away with the whole thing from qualifying to the race. Max was up there, like you said, top, I don't know, couple cars, but definitely not the fastest. And then, yeah, out of nowhere, he pulls out just an incredible quality lap to take pole, and manage the whole weekend so well. And it's so much easier to root for him now. I mean, there was so much talk that could anyone win in Max's car the last couple of years? Like, was it just him or was it just the car? There was so much of that chatter. And now it's clear that he does not have the best car and he's still able to just eke out every last bit of performance.
What I want to happen is, like, why can't it happen where there's like some one like fair day where every driver drives every car for 5 laps and we just see who puts up the top lap times? Like, is Max just going to be within 5 laps? Is he going to be able to harness every single car to its best capability and to show like who else could maybe do it? Maybe there's someone that's been stuck in just the worst car, that like maybe Hulkenberg is just like the second best driver, but he's never even been given the opportunity.
Well, they talked last year they were going to do a rookie race, weren't they, at the end of the season? But I like that idea. At the end of the season, everyone stays an extra day. There's a lottery, effectively. You pick a car out of a hat, and whichever one you land in is what you do. And then the field gets mixed up. I know for like IP reasons, and all the teams would be paranoid about it. But from a fan point of view, to see Max jump into a Sauber or Lewis jump into an Alpine or whatever and see what happened, I think would be mega. And I can imagine the teams being way too paranoid to do it. But from if you actually break down what's anyone going to learn in one race where they get given 1 half-an-hour practice session,
especially if it's the last race of the year, what's to learn? Yeah, you're changing everything next year anyway.
And the audience would be huge. I think it would be absolutely huge because everyone would be there to see it. It would be super cool.
The audience would pay for the damage that is created because half the grid is going to crash those cars for sure.
Well, that would be great. And again,
that'd be wonderful.
End of season, forget the budget cap. The budget cap's out the window. Well, why don't we, before we get on to the rookies, which I think we should because they did so well. Let's talk broadcast, guys, because there was one key figure that was getting a lot of attention on social media.
Oh my God.
We had texts in our F1 group about it.
Dax was angry.
Yeah, Dax was not happy. Mad. Jacques Villeneuve. I had 2 things. Firstly, I'm in this weird space at the minute where I'm in the UK for the races and they're all super early in the morning. So I'm not getting to watch. I get up at 6 to watch the race, or 5 to 6, but I'm not getting up at 4:30 to watch the pre-grid and all that. So I don't see as much of it. And then I traveled to Vegas basically straight after the race. I left for the airport. So I didn't get all of it. But what was your opinion? What's your take on Villeneuve?
I'm sad because I'm Canadian. And for years, he was like the pride of Canada. Like it was the best thing to ever happen in Formula One for a Canadian. And now I'm just embarrassed. Like, I don't know. He just doesn't make any sense. He's not gelling well with everyone. Like, I don't know if they're just trying to test other people out for when Martin Brundle eventually decides to move on. But it was just bad. It was like, maybe is Danica Patrick better, which is crazy to say.
There were also so many times they sent it over to him and there was nothing. And they're
Silence.
like, oh, I guess we lost. And he didn't lose him. He was just off doing something. Who knows what? Not paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, my take on Jack is, like, firstly, his credentials. He's won the Indy 500, 1997 Formula One world champion. He came in and really made such an impact when he arrived in F1, and he was this exciting new talent. And he won the title in a very good car, admittedly, and made hard work of it at the end. But he was a mega driver. He was probably the last driver to fall off as quickly as Ricciardo did. You know, he was like, Ricciardo was so good, and I was like, this guy's a future world champion. Then he goes to Renault, still pretty good, goes to McLaren, drops off, and he never gets it back. Well, Villeneuve's was probably even quicker. He went from world champ to sort of just not being there very, very quickly. But he's a legend in that regard. I interviewed him last year. I think it was last year when he was doing some World Endurance Championship, and I was expecting the worst. And he was super cool, like super laid back, took time to speak to me. We were walking down. Often with these things, they're a bit awkward. You've got two chairs set up and there's like a cameraman. So you've got to do the small talk before. But we walked down to where we were going to interview together, and he was just talking F1, talking sports cars, talking about his family. His wife was about to have his 5th kid, I believe. And he was just, I was like, oh, actually, this guy's a dude. And I love it when he gets stuck into people and it's just like, they're not good enough, because F1 is like that. Behind the scenes, you know, the team bosses are saying the same thing and the engineers. So I like that. But yeah, it just didn't quite stack up. And like you say, when they'd go to him and there's just literally tumbleweed, there's nothing going on.
Bizarre. But, you know, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt, and you would know maybe a little better, Jethro, but it can't be easy to live announce a race like that. To come up with all these things and these stats and this data, especially a race like that where there's not a lot going on, to keep everyone engaged, and they're probably spitting different numbers at you the whole time. It can't be the easiest thing, you know?
And also Martin Brundle, like, how do you follow that up? There's no one better than him.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it shows. Firstly, you're right, Charlie. I've done a bit of live TV, and it is proper scary. Like, the moment someone in your ears says "coming to you live" in 3, 2, your brain, you can't remember your name, where you are, what's going on. So I think racing drivers are used to pressure, so I don't think that bothers them so much. And they're not the lead guy; they're doing the sort of join in stuff. Sure. So it is hard. But yeah, following Martin Brundle, I mean, he is truly awesome at his job, and it's only when you see other people trying to do the same. The only guy I think who gets close in joining in and helping is Button. Actually, I think Jenson Button is so good, and it helps that him and Danica have got that hilarious dynamic going on. But he's just super good. But yeah, incredibly tough job. But yeah, Jacques did not win many fans, did he? Really, this weekend?
No. And the other wild thing this weekend, outside of the announcing, was the grass fires. All the grass fires. It's crazy, and it looks just so weird. I mean, so the skid plates are shooting off all these sparks, and I guess there's no rain in Japan this time of year, so the grass is all super dry. And several times during practice, maybe even quali, just everything caught on fire.
It doesn't seem hugely hard to solve to me. Like, they just need to go and douse all the... But they seem to, like, one bit would catch fire, so they'd douse it, then another bit would catch fire. But no one thought, let's just douse the whole thing, because this is going to be a persistent problem.
When they had that body of water in the middle of the thing, that seems like they could pump, just spray everything, flood it all, drain that little lake.
Jethro, I followed your lead and I started watching Temptation Island.
You did?
Yeah, I am deep in, and it's hilarious. Like, the one couple that's like, they met in church, and then he's just having threesomes all over the place, and that's okay. It's insane. He's like, yeah, we met in church, and like, I'm a Christian, I'm a really strong Christian, but like, I'm with my girl, but like, having a threesome isn't really cheating. It's just like my physical needs, and then this is okay. It's fucking madness.
It's the worst. Do you know what it does? I don't know. I haven't watched multiple series of this, but my wife was like, let's watch Temptation Island. We need some like brain rot TV for a Friday night. So I was like, okay, cool. But talk about reinforcing stereotypes. The girls, like Charlie, do you know how this show works?
No.
So basically, it's 4 couples go onto an island. They want to test their relationship before they commit to marriage or whatever it is they want to do.
And they present them with
And
other singles.
Yeah,
on
they're
there
separated, and then there's like 10 hottie females and males for that to tempt them. But the girls, like, this is not an exaggeration, literally are going to bed journaling about their love, reading the Bible. Like day 2, one of the guys is having a threesome. It's so insane.
And zero guilt. He's like, she'll understand. She'll understand for sure.
It's an awful reflection of the male species, I'm afraid to say.
And I'm always watching it and I look over at Laura and I'm like, honestly, Laura, they're right. We've never tested our relationship. Like, what if we go
come on? All of these guys have seen. Is this like season 15 or something?
Yeah.
So all these guys have seen it and they've been like, hey, you know what would probably be good for us? And they know exactly what's going to happen.
Yes.
It's like,
could you imagine pitching this? Like, what if you were just like, Erica, like, we should try this. It would make us stronger.
The women that are like the singles or the men that are the singles have to have the mentality that they want to win. They want to cause the affair. They want to be the one that lures them away. So there's like an ego competition thing too, that they don't want to see the relationship win. They want to like get the guy or get the girl or whoever it is. This is madness.
It's bad times. But a big shout out to Mark Wahlberg, who I thought was going to be
Mark J. Wahlberg.
Yeah, I
Mark
thought
J. Wahlberg.
The host.
He's good.
I mean, as an English person, the stuff he spouts is so good. It's so again, stereotypical of what you'd expect a Californian therapy guy to spout. It's incredible. But he deserves a spot in F1. Do you know what? He should work for Red Bull looking after their drivers, because he's the opposite of Helmut Marko. And the way that we need to dig out some quotes and attribute them after a weekend to specific drivers, because he is awesome. I appreciate that tangent. Temptation
so me and
Island.
Jethro are starting a secondary podcast about Temptation Island. We're going to be the Temptation Island official after show.
I wonder if we can
get caught up.
I wonder if we can get Mark on the show and he can give us like 20 seconds of advice for each driver at the end of a race weekend. He is brilliant. Okay, so going from one former F1 world champion who was unpopular on the broadcast, probably, talk about good weekend for the rookies, or at least some of them. I mean, Behrman, Hadjar, Kimi. It was, do you know what struck me? I was like, are people like Leclerc, is their time running out? Because like I said earlier, maybe Max has elevated the sport and maybe the incumbent guys aren't quite going there with him at the moment. And no matter what happens, wherever the car is, they're not quite there. And then these new guys have come in, and Behrman and Hadjar in particular are like, I mean, Kimi, everyone, he was so raved about. It's almost impossible for him to live up to the hype, although he's doing a great job. But Hadjar, everyone was a bit lukewarm about. Behrman, we all knew he was solid and good, but he looks like a superstar at the moment.
Kimi is now the youngest driver to lead a lap.
Yeah,
by 4 days. He beat Max by 4 days. He's looked good. I mean, I was thinking this about Mercedes all weekend, but specifically Kimi is like, they are not the best car. They're the third maybe on some weekends, but something about them and their team feels very consistent and solid. They're quiet. They're under the radar. They're not blowing anyone away, but you make a mistake and they're going to bump up a few spots. They've been in the points every race so far. And Kimi is just that. He's just always right there. Not making mistakes for a rookie is huge. He's performing. He's getting into Q3. He's not digging himself any holes all weekend. I don't know. I think he was very hyped, so we'll see if he lives up to that. But he's definitely, I think, had a really, really strong start.
And he was sitting there on mediums for so much longer than everyone else was. And like, yeah, these are fine. Like he's kind of got that same mentality, but a little bit more joyful as Oscar. Like he's kind of just chill and level, but he seems overly happier.
Yeah. And then Hadjar, that he went off this weekend too. He's looking good. Really good.
He looks great, and he seems to be becoming like I said, I didn't watch all of the broadcast because of travel and stuff, but every time I turn on Sky Sports F1, which is what I watch it on, there's an interview with Hadjar. He's becoming like the darling of the team. And funnily enough, he had a reputation of being pretty shouty and a little bit obnoxious, I think, coming in. All the vibes I heard. But they love him, and he seems such a nice kid. He's like getting on with it. He's, again, hard for an Englishman to say of a Frenchman, but he's just a dude. He's like, he's really making it stick.
He had some media training for sure.
Or
he's good.
But he doesn't seem trained. He just seems like...
You're right.
He just seems like he's enjoying it. He's very humble when he does a good job, and he's just like... He's enjoying the moment, but he's not being cocky at all. And I think it's... yeah, he did a great job, and it must have been satisfying for him. I think Lawson, I wouldn't call it redemption. He did all right, didn't he? He did all right, but Hadjar must have been pretty happy.
Though? Yeah.
I mean...
He got P15, right? And Hadjar was up in the points.
Yeah. I mean, he was solid, and it's probably
good enough.
Considering how...
Yeah.
His confidence must have been literally decimated, mustn't it? So he did okay. But I think he's got a job. I think Hadjar's going to be the guy, isn't he, in that car? And that car looks good. It looks really, really good.
Speaking of Racing Bulls, we joked last week that they need to, take a Racing Bull and paint it like Red Bull. And then they did. All of them look the same.
They did it both.
It was so hard to tell.
All of them look the same.
I think the broadcast even got confused because sometimes they were like, "Oh, we're watching the Red Bull," and it was the Racing Bull, and like that happened at least 4 times I saw in practice.
So maybe Yuki was really in a old Racing Bull.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that probably would have helped him actually.
Hadjar did have some seatbelt issues though. What did he get his balls caught in the strap?
What was that all about?
It seemed like he was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, and they kept talking about it, but not really saying what it was.
I think he was just gloating, I think he was just putting out a message to everyone.
A little subtle message. Speaking of subtle messages, Charlie, did you get that video of Lewis that I sent you? I sent you on Instagram. I've never seen it before. It was Lewis walking out. Maybe it was after he won the sprint race, and he adjusted himself, and it looked like there was a huge cucumber in his pants. Like, I've never seen this. I don't know if it was an AI generated thing, but it was like, what monster is in those pants? It was crazy.
Well, I have to say, look, we can get on to Lewis. He didn't have a great weekend, but he's definitely got maybe something to do with his junk, but he's definitely got his swagger back. I feel like he was so on the lowdown those last couple of years at Mercedes, and now he's just like, he's the guy again. And he's openly, and this is, some people have said he shouldn't do this in Italy because Ferrari and blah, blah, blah. But he's like openly saying, no, the car isn't the same. My car's not the same as Charles, and there's a reason. He was very cryptic about it, but the message was pretty clear. And I like that. Like he needs to go in and say it like it is. He doesn't have long left. No matter how successful this Ferrari thing turns out to be or not, he's on the decline. He has to be. Like, it's just human nature, and he's not going to be around forever. He's got a short period, defined period to make something happen. So he needs to go in and swing his gigantic junk around, basically, and make things happen.
And like it or not, you bring him in because he's going to give you feedback. So that feedback's not always going to be great feedback. It's going to be, he might be harsh and critical, but that's what you bring him in there for, to help develop the car, make the right changes. He has experience. And that's what you bring him in for. So I like it too. I'd like to see a little more performance out of them. Not necessarily dominating, but just up a little higher.
It confuses me how they went from effectively a dominant car in that China sprint, having been almost nowhere in Australia, and then they're almost nowhere again in their terms in the race in China. And then this weekend, Leclerc did a really good job, but you just feel like, there's no spark, that if they hang on, maybe they get 4th and 7th or whatever. You're never thinking, oh, they've got a chance. And even when Lewis started on hard tyres, didn't he? I was checking the gap to Kimi and I was like, oh, he stood steady, which was great, didn't lose any places. And then he looked like he was catching up, but then it just disappeared again. And there's something about that car. It's not firing for them. It just seems to be, it's close, but the extra mile or that extra 2 or 3% is just not happening. There's no magic in it. The car just looks, it doesn't come alive. It never comes alive over a weekend. So I think they've got a lot of homework to do, actually, those guys.
Yeah, and you can tell they must all internally feel that way, because even you look at the McLaren guys, they were not happy with a 2-3. And then you have Charles, that was a great weekend to get P4 for him. They just don't quite have that last little, like you said, 2 to 3% that will get them up.
What did you think of McLaren's? I feel like it was a holding pattern for them this weekend. I don't think we learned that much more about Lando versus Oscar. I feel like, are we in a position, they've always said having 2 cars in the fight is better than one. But is Max starting to look like maybe having one really, really strong lead car is the way, because it just focuses the team's efforts on that possibility?
Well, I guess we should talk about that, the potential strategy that McLaren could have used that would have been one benefit of having 2 cars up there. They talked a lot about it on the broadcast, but they kind of followed Red Bull's lead and pit strategy, right? And Max, there's one car up there. He has to just pick his strategy and go with it because there's one. But McLaren had the opportunity with 2 quick cars to try something different, to stay out a little longer, to give one of their guys clean air at the front. And they both just pitted within a lap of each other, just basically following Red Bull. And so I thought that was interesting, because that is the benefit you get of having 2 cars up there. You can try a couple different things and try to force Max to make a mistake somewhere. And they kind of just let him hang on to it.
But the problem is you've got 2 drivers. Who's going to make the sacrifice? Lando and Oscar realize that they're potentially the 2 protagonists in this title fight. Yeah. And it was a weird weekend, because I think we've been excited about this season because all the cars are going to be close. That's the idea. But what that means is when there's no field spread whatsoever, you come to Suzuka, which turned out to be really, really tough to overtake on. Because there's no field spread, strategy almost becomes null and void, because there's no gaps for anyone to drop into, because the pack is still quite tight. There's not overtaking opportunities against back markers, so that limits you. You can't be like, oh, let's just take a gamble, pit early, and then we'll end up in, let's say you lose 4 places, but it's fine, we can take them on the track. You can't do that. And then there was 0 tyre degradation, so hards, mediums, it felt like they could put anything on, didn't matter. And so you end up in effectively a stalemate, and it felt more like an F1 demonstration than a race, because it was just a procession of people driving around.
Yeah. It's interesting too. So we've had 4 races if we include the sprint this year. We've had 4 different winners and 4 different pole sitters, but pole position has won every race, all 4.
Yeah. And that's what Fred Vasseur said. Whoever qualifies and gets pole wins every race.
Which is not what I'd expect, since the cars are seemingly so much closer.
Yeah.
But we're just not getting the overtake. And, it's very track specific too. And like you said, Japan, there weren't a lot of opportunities, but it doesn't make for exciting racing when, 4 for 4, you've got whoever's on pole is going to win.
Yeah. But it's interesting because we hated like years before when Max would win every race by 10, 15 seconds. And this was the first time at this track anyone's won by less than a 10-second gap. Everyone's won by over a 10-second gap. So it's interesting because we always complained about that huge gap and we knew who the winner was. And now the gap's lower, but we kind of know who the winner's going to be. But I guess we just need some more mistakes to happen, more lawn cutting. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I think Suzuka is a weird track in that the drivers love the challenge. I think qualifying there is great. Watching the cars through that first section is so good. But yeah, it's tough to overtake. And when the cars are closely matched, the tires aren't degrading. No one's making big mistakes. you're not going to get a great race, which is a shame. Maybe it's just going to be one of those great Saturday weekends, a bit like Monaco, and we just have to suck up the fact there's not going to be the greatest race ever. I was just going to say, I want to do an update on the crying thing because I was on a plane straight after the race. This plane crying thing is weird, and I want to show the depth of how low it can make you go. I watched Venom: The Last Dance.
No, you did not cry.
And I cried. So that's, I don't know if that's a reflection on me or the plane or possibly both, but even Venom: The Last Dance can get me going on a plane. So I was in economy for 11 hours, which is enough to make you cry anyway.
Yeah, that'll make you cry.
But yeah, it just does it. It just does it. I need to look up, I know it is a thing, so I need to look up what specifically that does.
Okay, come back with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I cried
terrible.
this morning. I cried
really?
about an hour and a half ago. Yeah, my daughter crawled for the first time this morning.
Wow.
So yeah, got a little teary-eyed. That was pretty exciting. She's been almost there for like a week. So every day I've been like, tomorrow's the day. And then today she just shuffled and knocked over some blocks. It's awesome.
How old is she now?
9 months in like 2 days.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. What
That's
milestone. Yeah, now you have
Yeah.
to, soon you'll be chasing her everywhere, and then you'll just be crying because you can never sit down again, basically.
Charlie, you didn't cry this weekend, Charlie?
I don't think I did.
No.
No
Still,
opportunities.
Still the last time was 1987.
Something will come up. Something will come up.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to hear when you cry next.
I would love to talk fantasy F1 because I've now joined the game, but I can't figure out how to look at the league. So if you have any insight into how anyone is doing in fantasy F1, please let us know.
I'm still in the top 50.
Okay.
Out of 750, I think. So that's all I know. No,
not me.
I want to be more involved in this thing, and I'll try and find it again. But I've like logged on, created an account, joined, and now I can't find the bloody league. It's a nightmare.
So you've got to find the league again with the code.
And then pin it.
And then you have to pin it. And then when you go to league, you click on pinned leagues and you can see it. Yeah. It's just like, honestly, for F1 and as big as it is, this app should be so much better. It's a bad fantasy app.
Yeah, I mean, how you can't log on and press my league. I'm only part of one league. I should be able to press my league and then it's there. But yes, still struggling.
And I joined the official F1 because I guess when you go, you join there's one huge league that's like everyone in the world's in. And I can't find that. I don't even know what it's called to look it up. So I'm in another league and I have no clue how I'm doing globally.
But everyone, please join in.
I know
this
how to
amazing
do it
game.
all and access it all. And I'm in last. So maybe it's for the best you can't find the league. Just set one team and forget about it.
Yeah, needless to say, none of our P10s came true. It is hard.
Very well.
I mean, we're bad enough at P10, so predicting any more than that is pretty tricky. So what about, do we have some pulp?
You know what? There's one incredible pulp that happened this weekend. So I don't know if you heard that Carlos Sainz was fined $20,000, but $10,000 is being delayed because he had to take a shit during the national anthem. He literally went to take a shit and missed or was late for the national anthem, and that is uncalled for. He was diagnosed by a doctor that he had a stomach bug. They still fined him $10,000, but they did graciously defer the $10,000 if it ever happens again. But are you fucking kidding me? You're the FIA and you're fining it's the most expensive shit that's happened ever.
Also, he's an adult that has to go take a shit before a race. Who cares? Miss the national anthem if you get in your car in time. Who cares?
Yeah, I don't get that. That's bad. I did not hear this.
I have shitophobia. I wake up early before everything I do. I'm scared I'm going to be somewhere and have to shit. I prepare most of my stuff around did I shit before? Am I going to be okay in this scenario? And that would have given me the most anxiety. And honestly, I would have fought someone. I would have came back and been like, I'm going to fight you. You're going to find me 10 grand.
I think if we interview drivers through the course of this podcast, that actually should be a question. Like,
Mhm.
what's the strategy? Because it's probably as important as pit strategy and over the course of a weekend for these guys. Like,
You
where?
can't be 15 laps in and then like,
Yeah,
I,
you need your
like
window.
that's yeah.
And if they're anything like my daughter, like, a little car seat in the car is similar to a racing chair when you go in it. Every time she sits in it, she shits her pants. So, like, it's got to be something similar when a driver sits in that thing. They just need to shit. So, you got to be evacuated getting in there.
I love the way
They're two separate meetings at the start of the weekend. We have our pit strategy and our shit strategy.
Yes.
And they're probably equally as important.
I love your
They have
comparing
they have a shit engineer that's just making sure it's all done right.
the best 20 drivers in the world to your 9-month-old daughter. Similar shit strategy. It's an interesting take on it. Maybe we could go in as consultants in this. Matt, you could go in. Yeah. You and Cleo could go in with a schedule. Okay, so other pulp. Was there other pulp?
Not a lot of crazy stuff other than what we talked about. We did have, like, what I did love though is Max in the car after he did qualifying. He had never sounded more excited. Like, he was pumped. And I think he just really knew that he was getting everything out of his car. And that was awesome to see. It made him a lot more likable, even though I do like Max.
Yeah,
he's easy to root for this year, or much easier to root for this year.
Yeah, the simply lovely, like, super calm. I don't know if that was meant to be charming, but I always found it deeply annoying and
very
just,
annoying.
Yeah, just not. It didn't feel in the moment and cool, did it? But yes, hearing someone, and he didn't go over the top the way some people do, where it feels a bit embarrassing and cringy.
Yeah.
It was just like he'd nailed it and he knew it.
Speaking of radio messages, Albon was losing his cool all race. And he's not that guy. Some guys are always just complaining about something. He is not normally like that. And he was losing his cool.
Do you think he's liberated by his domination of Carlos Sainz? Because you're right, it's like a little shifting character. You do hear him being testy on the radio occasionally, but not like that. And I don't know. Maybe he's just like, I am the guy. I've been telling you I'm the guy, and now you can see it.
I think you're probably right. And also, we know these guys are so competitive. You don't get there if you're not. Albon last year didn't have to be that competitive to be winning. It was obvious. But now they go get what was a top 5 driver. They bring him in. All the talk is how Sainz is going to be the guy here, and everyone's excited to see what he does. And Albon is still just kicking his ass. And I think he knows he has to kind of step into that lead role. And 3 races in, he's doing it. He's proven it. So it's probably given him even more confidence to just kind of like, be that guy. But it was a little wild, a little much.
It was surprising.
It was. I mean, it's the heat of the moment, isn't it? But yeah, I'm just intrigued by that Sainz thing. It's just not quite working out for him, is it? And incumbency gives you an advantage. You know the engineers, you know the car, you know what you need to do with different cars in order to make them quick. But Sainz he's still scrabbling, isn't he? He's really, really scrabbling. He's not getting on top of it at the minute.
Yeah, it's not looking great. But it's still early.
Shifting sands, guys. It changes week to week, doesn't it? But I was watching this week and I was like, yeah, things are changing. These young kids are really, really good. Like, Behrman was awesome. Hadjar was great. There seems to be no fear, loads of joy, not that much frustration. They're getting on with it. And it feels like the guys who've been around a few years are getting angry about little things and hyper focused on things that maybe they shouldn't be. And I wonder if there is this, like, we knew that, I don't know, say Lewis is on the way out, Alonso's on the way out, but maybe it feels like there's an even bigger wave. And now that teams have seen 18-year-olds come in and have a fresh perspective and a fresh energy to go and chase big results, maybe there's going to be more and more, and we're going to see an acceleration of this turnover of drivers. Who knows? Could be a theme for the future. I guess have we covered pretty much everything?
We didn't cover the only exciting thing that happened in the race was Lando trying to pass Max in the pit lane in the grass.
Well, that's fitting because nor did the race director.
No. And it was It was so weird because Lando had to have seen what was happening. He was obviously behind him, trying to pass him in the grass, and he tried to rat on Max to get Max in trouble. And Max is just kind of so calm and being like, I don't know what he was doing.
And I love when they showed Max's onboard. He doesn't even flinch for a half a moment.
Mhm.
Like his hands don't move. He's on that line. He doesn't deviate. He's just not. He's a robot also. But then in the post-race interview, they were talking to Lando about it. He said, well, I know Max he's not the guy that's going to give me any room. Like he kind of acknowledged, like, I picked my battle and it was not the right one. It was not one I was going to win.
Yeah, it was a shame because firstly, the race director literally didn't pick it up. They cut away. That was the only action that actually happened in the entire Grand Prix, and they missed it. But yeah, I think Lando, it seemed such a weird gamble to take. Like, you're not going to get given room. They were right on his bumper. It was the first time he had a shot of being within DRS immediately, effectively, of Max, and he just threw it away for a move that was never, ever, ever going to come off. It was really strange.
Why not come out and be 2/10 behind on fresh tires? You have a faster car, and that's your only opportunity, really. And he threw it away.
Then you have dirty tires for half the next lap. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was a weird one. It was, I think McLaren, just a bit of a flat weekend for them. And I wonder, mentality-wise, that they looked so far ahead in qualifying. It was almost like they didn't push to the outer edges in that last Q3 session, and that's how Max snuck up on them, basically. But they're going to, if they want to win individually or as a team, you can't afford to be thinking we've got the quickest car, we can just drive at 99%. With Max there, you need to be driving no margin whatsoever. Otherwise, he's just going to sneak in and win races. And if you two are taking points off each other, it's a chance for him to come back and win the drive. I thought very little chance Max could win the driver's title, but it looks more and more like he's going to be right in the fight. So, yeah, he's doing such a good job.
He was my pick at the beginning of the year, I'm just saying.
He was. And historically, you're wrong about everything, but maybe for once, you're going to be the...
You think there's any chance that Max knew he had a little extra in the tank, and during his practices, he didn't push it to 100? Mm-hmm. He got a feel for the car. He knows the car so well that he doesn't have to try out different things. He knows, okay, in these turns, I could have done this a little different to pick up a little time. And then he just kind of banks on these other teams like McLaren not pushing to 105%. Because it seems like he does that so often. He does it so often where he comes out of nowhere with that one lap and gets it.
He probably pushes just in the practice sessions, just pushes individual sectors. Like, I'm going to kill sector 1, kind of sandbag the other 2 so no one sees me having lap times, and kind of then switches second sector the next one. So he's kind of just nailing each sector, knows how to maximize the amount of his car, and then waits till the qualifying to do it.
Yeah, I think in the UK we'd say mugged them off, basically. That's the expression we would use. So he definitely mugged them off. Yeah. It means it means he just,
like, you're kind of saying fuck off, like
made him look stupid. Like he did something that he knew was gonna turn out his way. Like, he mugged them off for sure.
Last bit of pulp, though. Audio issues are a thing, guys. I hope there's no audio issues on this one. Me and Charlie had 5 test things this week to try to figure out the echo that we have no idea. We did everything the same last week as the week before, and there was echo. So we're praying so we're going to just have to figure it out. And I appreciate you guys coming along the ride with us. We're not tech people, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I think audio is like a Red Bull racing car. The window is very, very small, and we keep falling outside of it. But we're going to attempt to be more like Max in the future.
And rest assured, we do not want the audio to sound bad, if that's not clear.
We are the Liam Lawson of podcasts right now. So we're going to get there.
We want it to sound good. So, we're working on it.
So next up, it's a triple header, isn't it? So we've got Bahrain next. Obviously, they tested there. They know the track really well. McLaren was super strong in Bahrain. Maybe there's a chance of a better race? What are our predictions? Do we think that we've got to have a better race? That it was a great track, it was a great spectacle in qualifying, but the race sucked. So please, we need some overtakes. I think the hype for the season was big, and we need just one or two races to start delivering on that promise, don't we? So let's keep our fingers crossed.
I think the season has been good. If you look at results and we look at the spread, it's been good. But yeah, the individual races could pick up a little bit, a little more action.
Okay. So should we do our P10 predictions?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
we're going to do P10s.
Why not? Let's humiliate ourselves once again for the P10. Charlie went first last time, so Matt, you can go first.
I'm going to go Carlos Sainz. I think he's going to figure out the car a little bit, get to 10th, squeeze in there.
Okay, I went for Carlos last time, but he just doesn't look like he's getting there somehow.
It's risky.
I'm going to say Gasly, just because I haven't picked an Alpine guy. Alpine are just sort of nowhere, aren't they? But he is quick. He's a quick guy, and once he's ahead of someone, he's almost impossible to overtake. That is one thing I'll say about him. So yeah, I'll go Gasly. Charlie?
I'm going to go Behrman.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I'm going to go Behrman.
Kid's quick. He's a superstar. He's going to be in a Ferrari soon. He's going to replace Lewis at some point. I think it looks that way. If he carries on his trajectory, they've got a ready-made super quick replacement for Lewis because he's a Ferrari junior driver already. So I think that's the way it's going to go. Okay, so Bahrain next. We have everything crossed for a better race. Where will I be next week? I'll be in Italy. Any more travel planned, guys?
I go to where do I go? Something in South Carolina. Charlatan? What's it called?
Charleston.
Charleston. I have to go do a Dyson event with influencers, and we're going to the Kelsey Ballerini concert. Going to a little country western concert with a bunch of ladies. It'll be fun. Got to style some hair and go see some country music.
I went to my first ever country concert not very long ago.
How was it?
They're so fun.
I went to see Rascal Flatts. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Laura loved them as a kid. I met a guy on a road and track job who was like best friends with the singer. And he was like, oh, they're about to announce, this was, I don't know, 18 months ago. And it's like, they're about to announce a new tour. So why don't you and your wife come? So we went to see Rascal Flatts. We went into the backstage area, hung out with the family. We're on the tour bus after the event, drinking, and it was great. It was actually it was a really cool thing, and country music still sucks, but a really fun evening. So thank you to Rascal Flatts for your hospitality. It was great.
I guess not a lot of Brits love country music. It's not really a Brit thing.
No, I've talked about this before, but I thought country music was like a hoax, or possibly I thought it had died out. I thought it was like a thing that happened in like the 60s and 70s, and then it was done. It was like an old form of music. And then I think I was on a job in the States and I watched American Idol. I was in some lonely motel, like eating some crappy food, and American Idol was on, and it was like 50% of people were singing country music. And I was like, oh, right, country is still a thing. I had no idea. And
so many people listen to country music.
Yeah, it's huge.
I think because it's a good thing to have on in the background. Like, it's not aggressive or abrasive. You can just like have it on in the back of the house and it's not interrupting anything.
I mean, it's weird to
like
me.
it.
It's weird to
like
me.
it.
It doesn't travel, basically.
It's growing on me.
It's yeah. So I should say thank you to Jeff Bishop, who sorted us out with our Rascal Flatts thing. It was cool. It was a fun thing, and I knew one song because they did the song from Cars, which I've watched many times with my kids. Yeah. Okay, well that's it for this week. This is a bit where Dax would say push. We don't have an end frame, but we will. We're going to come up with something amazing, and please send in your suggestions. But Bahrain next. High hopes. Can't be worse than Japan, folks. So tune in next week. We will be discussing all things after the spectacular, overtake-filled, incredible Bahrain Grand Prix.
See ya.
See ya.